Hello everyone, my name is Mike and this is theboredcyborg. That was the worst French accent ever attempted. Welcome back to yet another episode of What's in the Bag, where I discuss the films that I've picked up at pawn shops, thrift shops, flea markets, etc. over the past few weeks or so, and kind of go over them one by one, let you know why I picked them up. If it's something I have any memories of, I'll kind of share those with you, and just kind of go through them one by one. So let's jump right into it. I've picked up quite a few movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week, so I'm not going to be as in-depth as I usually am. I'm going to kind of breeze through a few of them if I don't have much to say, but essentially I just want to show you guys what I've picked up. There's some cool stuff in here, there's some rare stuff in here, a little bit of everything, so let's get right to it. The first thing I picked up caught my eye. I've been watching a lot of movie serials and TV serials of the 30s and 40s over the last few months. I really dig seeing these prototype stories and all of the inspirations, you know, like Flash Gordon, for example, inspired Star Wars, and when you're watching Flash Gordon, it speaks to Star Wars in so many different ways. You know Lucas was a huge fan of it, and he's admitted to being so. And so serials provide a good historic kind of lesson and some good entertainment most of the time. So I picked up this Green Hornet movie edition. Now, this compiles some of the early serials into a movie, so it does cut out. There's a lot of cuts going on in this, which I don't feel too comfortable with, but it was there. I think I got this one for free, actually, because the pawn shop was doing a deal. So that's the Green Hornet movie edition. It says it includes 2 feature-cut movie versions from the original 13-chapter serial, The Green Hornet. So, pretty cool. This was released by VCI. They usually put out some really obscure, weird stuff. And, yeah, had to pick it up. Next one is one I had never heard of. Of course, like many mid-90s, late 90s crime films, this is being compared to Reservoir Dogs. It is a London-based crime film with Sean Bean. It's really all I know about it. It's really all I needed to know. I'm a big fan of Sean Bean. He most likely dies in this. We also have Tom Wilkinson. So yeah, so this looks pretty cool. Directed by Terry Windsor. Don't know much about it. Sean Bean has a big gun on the front. That's all I need. Next up is a Chow Yun-fat film directed by the greatest action filmmaker of all time, or at least one of, John Woo. And this is A Better Tomorrow. Now, I have seen this film. I think I saw it on demand somewhere. Hadn't owned it up to this point. Not sure if it's on Blu-ray. I didn't do the homework and look to see if it is on Blu-ray. I'm sure it is, at least in another country, if not this one. This is an Anchor Bay release, definitely out of print, and this is a fantastic Chow Yun-fat John Woo movie. John Woo, of course, did Hard Boiled and Face Off and The Killer, some of the greatest action films of all time. And this stands right there with the rest of them, honestly. Some unbelievably cool gunfights, as usual. You know, gun fu and mas. This is a fantastic John Woo film, and one of the John Woo films that doesn't really get too much talk. And it actually did get a sequel, which is one of the few John Woo films to get a sequel that he actually directed. Looking forward to checking this out again. Glad to have it in the collection. A Better Tomorrow, John Woo. Something weird's going on with it. I think it was cut wrong or something. The bind looks a little funny, but it is what it is. Love Chow Yun-fat, love John Woo, love Better Tomorrow. Next up, here is a Blu-ray. These are all in no particular order, guys. I just kind of threw them here next to me, 2 big-ass stacks. This is a Blu-ray double feature of Firefox and Heartbreak Ridge. I actually already own Heartbreak Ridge in a Clint Eastwood box set out there in my Blu-ray collection. So I picked this up primarily for Firefox. I've heard Firefox has some kind of, you know, sort of pseudo-sci-fi things going on in it. It's about an attack helicopter. That's all I really know. It looks like Blue Thunder to me, you know, like Roy Scheider's Blue Thunder. But hey, if it's anything like Blue Thunder, a little bit more futuristic and has... Oh. Murr! Murr! My whole life is a lie! It's not a helicopter, guys. I'm sorry. It is a jet of some sort. So there you go. It's nothing like Blue Thunder. I'm an idiot. The next one here, I didn't even know existed. And it is Ironweed with Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep. I mean, arguably, Jack Nicholson is arguably one of the greatest actors of all time. Meryl Streep is arguably one of the greatest actresses of all time. to see them headlining a film from '87 that I had never heard of, I had to pick it up, obviously. So, again, don't know much about this. I know it's a period piece, and, you know, it stars Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep. Let's see who directed it. Hector Babenco. Never heard of him. Damn near 3 hours long. Yeah, it's a period piece. Takes place in the 30s. So, looking forward to this one. Unfortunately, this is in full screen. I don't know if it's available in widescreen. I would imagine it is because it's an '87 film. But, you know, the full screen will suffice for now. I'll give the film a try. This is out of print. I did look this one up. It's going for a bit, 15, 20 bucks. Ironweed. Looking forward to checking that one out. Next up here, just completely all over the place, we have Carnivale. They're blocking my face. That's okay. No one wants to see that anyway. Carnivale is a mid-2000s, I believe, HBO show that... You don't want to cooperate? Aight then. Carnivale is a mid-2000s carnival show that was on HBO with a great cast. Clancy Brown, tons of people. I've heard it's super strange. And, you know, it's supposed to be this really dark carnival satire, dark humor sort of show. So I'm looking forward to it. I believe this is the entire... Is this upside down? I'm on a roll like toilet tissue. I don't know if this set is on Blu-ray, but I am happy to have it on DVD. I'm pretty sure there were only 2 seasons. From what I understand, it got cut short. A lot of people were pissed about that. That's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, Carnivale, 2 different box sets. They're kind of set up differently. It's very weird. They're different sizes. I don't know. But hey, Carnivale. The next one up is clearly a Chinese or Asian bootleg of some sort. And it's The Black Swan. This is a 30s film starring Tyrone Power. Tyrone Power is a proto-action hero. You know, he was one of the first action heroes in the 30s, really. Late 20s and 30s. He went on to play Zorro in Mark of Zorro. Yeah, Mark of Zorro. And so why did I pick this up? Well, to be honest with you guys, a little sneak peek. I'm doing research into doing a video on proto-action heroes. You know, Douglas Fairbanks, Tyrone Power, people like that. So I really want to dig into these films and get some of that history, the history of action films. Obviously, I love action movies, and I'm even more fascinated with how they got to where they are, you know, the inspiration for all of them. So can't go wrong with any Tyrone Power stuff, or Douglas Fairbanks for that matter. And this is The Black Swan. Yes, it's an obvious bootleg. It's got some sort of script that I cannot read on the back here. But hey, you know what? I threw it into the DVD player. It's pretty good quality. So I'm fine with it for now, at least for me to do some research. Anthony Quinn, wow, Anthony Quinn, George Zucco, Maureen O'Hara, great cast. So looking forward to The Black Swan. Next one is a film that I have never seen. It's a 90s film that a lot of my friends have told me that I need to see. That is Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter is Dead. I don't know shit about this movie. I remember seeing it growing up in the 90s, but I think it was is it rated R? Yeah, it's PG-13. I don't know. For some reason, I never sat down and watched this film. Directed by Stephen Herrick. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Can't really say much about it, but I know it's some sort of satire of some sort. The next one, I am a fan of Richard Gere. I like Richard Gere. I think he's an underrated actor. He's not the best actor. He reminds me of Kevin Costner in ways, but I think he's a better actor than Kevin Costner. He's been in, you know, some great films, Primal Fear. This is American Gigolo. I'm assuming he plays a gigolo, an American one. I've read about this film over the years, and it definitely is one that, on the drama side, that interests me. And, yeah, want to check it out. Got it on DVD. I'm sure it's on Blu-ray. This one's directed by Paul Schrader, the great Paul Schrader. So, you know, he did Cat People, you know, from the 80s. The horror movie remake. This is American Gigolo. Looking forward to it. 80s Richard Gere. Early Richard Gere. Haha. This one's funny. I'm not a big slipcover guy. You know, I'm more about the movie. I just want the movie. Slipcover, if it has one, cool. If not, whatever. This slipcover really caught my eye, however, at the pawn shop. Revenge of the Nerds. And clearly you see Deadpool here. So I was like, what the hell is this? So It's a 20th Century Fox release. I'm really surprised they did this, to be honest. But I guess they assume Deadpool is more popular than, look at this, than the film Revenge of the Nerds, the 80s cult comedy. So, I don't really like this slipcover. I think it's funny and I wanted to show you guys, but I'm not gonna... I might throw it away. And it's ripped. I don't know. I'm probably going to throw it away just because it doesn't represent the film, you know, and that's why I want physical things, that they represent the film. But Revenge of the Nerds, you know, I've seen it a couple times. It's a good movie. You know, it's not great. I wouldn't say it's a comedy classic. It's memorable, you know, memorable characters and everything. But yeah, so I thought this was funny. I got this really cheap. I think I got this for $1. Revenge of the Nerds, needed it for the comedy, you know, Blu-ray collection, but really funny slipcover, so... Next one, I actually upgraded. I had this on DVD, and I am a fan of the film. It reminds me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and those mid to late 90s, you know, fantasy shows, Hercules, Xena, those kind of things. And that is Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. Man, this film came and went, starring Brandon Routh. Like I said, it's a fun... It doesn't take itself too seriously at all, and it's about Dylan Dog, who's a monster hunter, essentially, a modern-day monster hunter, and he does just that. He hunts monsters. And, you know, sometimes that's all I need. Tongue-in-cheek, you know, doesn't take itself seriously. Brandon Routh is great in the lead. I wish they did a few more of these films. You know, of course, the movie didn't do well, so they didn't. But yeah, this is sort of a relic of the 2000s. You know, Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. Again, very Buffy, very Angel, very fun. So, Dylan Dog, Dead of Night, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Next one here, another Blu-ray. I didn't even know this one existed, but it was really cheap. Again, about $1. And I picked it up. Future World. This one is directed by James Franco and starring James Franco, Lucy Liu, and Mila Jovovich. So it sounds like a shit show. Looks like Mad Max. You know, it's clearly a Mad Max ripoff, most likely a Fury Road ripoff, or at least that's what they're trying to sell me, and they did so well enough. I've actually looked this film up a little bit, and it got completely panned by everyone. No one seems to like this film. It's supposed to be a disaster. I think Letterboxd has it at like 1.5 out of 5 right now. So I'm in. This I don't know much about, so I'll be brief with this one. Gloria. All I know is it is a remake of an 80s film called Gloria. In fact, I've got it right here. Well, there you go. This film came out in 1980. It's a John Cassavetes film, and I suppose this is a remake with Sharon Stone. Not too long after. Probably about 15 years or so. So, I haven't seen either of these, but, you know, why not? Gloria. This one, The Sweeper. C. Thomas Howell, a 1996 low-budget action film starring C. Thomas Howell in sunglasses with akimbo pistols on the front here. So, that's all I really needed, but I looked it up on Letterboxd, and it's got some damn good reviews. People are praising the action, which is why I come to these sort of films. So if it has some great action scenes, some good chases from what I've heard, that's all I really care about when it comes to 90s, you know, low-budget action. So pick this one up. This one is out of print as well. It's fetching a bit, but I got it for dirt cheap, less than $1. So yeah, The Sweeper. Looking forward to this one. It's got the Matrix font there. But it came out 3 years before The Matrix, so there you go. Marketing for the win. Next one, I'm slowly amassing my Hunger Games collection. Now, I did see the first one when it came out. I wasn't too impressed, honestly. I was going into it thinking it was a Battle Royale ripoff, and, you know, that's a little unfair. I think I've calmed down. My position has calmed down a little bit on that. And so I want to give it another whirl. Now, I currently own 1, 2, and 4, so I need the third one, which I believe is Mockingjay Part 1. This one, Catching Fire, Mockingjay. Yeah, so I think that's how the series goes. And once I have them all, I will make my way through the series and see how I feel about it. You know, I'm thinking I'll like it, you know, just going into it as a straight sci-fi. That's the thing, the young adult books to movies usually don't fare well with me. they come across as a little hokey and a little lovey-dovey sometimes. So, you know, we'll see. But Hunger Games, Jennifer Lawrence, I love Jennifer Lawrence. Hunger Games on Blu-ray. I now own 3 of the Hunger Games films. So this one's really cool. I did not know this existed. This is a mini-series based on Fidel Castro. It shows him, you know, in his early days, overthrowing a dictatorship in his country, and him slowly slipping into the same role that he was trying to fight against. So I think the story of Fidel is interesting. I don't know enough about him, and I would like to. So I think this miniseries will be a good, you know, kind of gateway drug into the life of Castro. Fidel. This one's out of print as well. Hard to find, and had to snag it. Like I said, about $1. All these guys, I don't spend more than $1 or $2 on movies, so I don't play. All right, next one is an early 2000s, 01, Wesley Snipes film. Fiorentino. Linda Fiorentino and Wesley Snipes and Oliver Platt. So, don't know much about this. I know it's a political thriller. Snipes was doing a lot of these types of films in the late 90s, early 2000s, and a lot of them are pretty fun. You know, Art of War, Murder at 1600, things like that. So, looking forward to this one. I didn't know this one existed. So, Liberty Stands Still, Wesley Snipes. This one, actually, I just said I don't spend more than $1 or $2 per movie. I actually spent $4 on this one. Guys at my local flea market had quite a booth going. They had a lot of trauma and weird horror, and they were all individually priced, which you don't usually see at a flea market, but these guys obviously knew what they had, so they up-priced them a little bit, and they got me. Reason being, I used to have this on VHS. I have very fond memories of looking at the box. Here's the funny part. I never watched the film because the box scared the shit out of me. You know, this giant grotesque arm coming out of the closet. Every kid's got a closet in his room. I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't bring myself to doing it. Same thing with an old film called Making Contact. I still haven't watched that film, but I had these on VHS, and so I saw this on DVD. Didn't even know trauma had anything to do with it, honestly, and I had to pick it up. This is an 80s movie. It's supposed to be pretty good, pretty fun, pretty cheesy. So, you know, of course, it's trauma. But I believe Lloyd did produce this one, or at least executive produced this one. So, Monster in the Closet. John Carradine, Stella Stevens, Cloud Atkins, Donald Moffat, Howard Duff. I don't know half those people. Well, I do know John Carradine and Stella Stevens. Very cool. Monster in the Closet. Maybe I'll conjure up the balls and watch this one soon. Guys, I'm sorry. I don't even know. Latin Dragon. A Latino-based martial arts film from the early 2000s. I'm a simple man. Next one I picked up, brand new actually, I already opened it, for $1, again, $1 at the flea market, was The Strangers. Now, I did see this film when it came out, wasn't too impressed. You know, I thought Funny Games, movies like that did it a little bit better, but it was creepy. It did creep me out, I'm not gonna lie. And I know they just did a sequel recently, Prey at Night, Strangers Prey at Night, something like that. So I want to give this one another shot. And I think it's important because it kind of kicked off the home invasion movies. You know, Funny Games definitely did that, helped with that as well. But this one kind of brought it into the mainstream. And I want to give it another whirl. I just can't stand Scott Speedman. Like, he's my main issue with the Underworld movies. I love the Underworld movies, but Speedman bugs me. Liv Tyler's in it, so I'm looking forward to giving this one another chance. The Strangers, creepy little home invasion movie. And I do want to see the sequel because I've heard good things. So that is the Strangers on Blu-ray. I cannot speak today. Water break! This is a film called Visitors. I didn't know anything about it, and it looks super cheap, budget title type of thing. So I almost glanced right over it, but I picked it up, looked at the director, which is something I usually do first and foremost, and it's directed by Richard Franklin. This is an early 2000s film directed by Richard Franklin. If you don't know him, he did Psycho 2, the underrated Psycho 2. He did Road Games, which I haven't seen, and Link, you know, the best killer ape, killer chimp movie that I've ever seen in the 80s, 86, released by Canon. So it's a Richard Franklin film, and I picked it up strictly for that reason. You know, he's a good filmmaker. I like his work, so we'll give this one a whirl. Who knows? I don't know anything about it. It's got the cheesiest fucking cover, though. It looks so bootleg and photoshopped, and but hey, hopefully it's good. Oh, I can't feel my legs! Oh, the next one is really cool. This one threw me off. I actually picked it up without looking at the director, and then I looked at the director when I got home and got really excited. This is The Setup, Robert Wise. Now, if you don't know who Robert Wise is, he is a legend. He did The Day the Earth Stood Still, Star Trek the Motion Picture, The Haunting, but this film came out before all of the films I just mentioned in 1949. So this is really early Robert Wise. And I was so excited to see that he had directed this upon me getting home. And don't know much about it. It's a boxing movie. It's supposed to be really good, starring Robert Ryan. And looking forward to checking out some of Robert Wise's early films. He was a filmmaker that made films in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and onward. And, you know, so I'm really looking forward to checking out The Setup. The Setup. Next one I got for Tremors 3 and 4. I owned the first two. I had owned the first two already. And so this collects all of them in one little package here. Well, I say all of them. I think there are two more now. Tremors. You know, what can I say about Tremors? I love Tremors. The original is such an underrated monster movie from the early 90s, 1990, I believe. 2 is good. It lacks Kevin Bacon, which is a shame. And then 3, things start to get crazy. I haven't seen past 3. So Michael Gross is the one that hangs on throughout all of the films here. So pick this up strictly for 3 and 4 because I already own 1 and 2. I do need 1 on Blu-ray though. The others I don't really care to have on Blu-ray. But yeah, Tremors Attack Pack, Tremors 1 through 4. Speak of the devil, Buffy. I don't own any Buffy the Vampire Slayer on DVD, which is sinful. So I had to pick this up. I got it for $1, brand new and sealed, first season. Get me started on the series. Of course, I grew up with it growing up in the 90s. You know, I was 8, 9 years old when this show was airing. And I absolutely loved it. So, looking forward to revisiting this. I'm growing more and more nostalgic, exponentially nostalgic as time goes on for 90s television like Hercules and Xena and Angel and Buffy. So, I am looking forward to getting back into this. Sarah Michelle Gellar, first season of Buffy. Precarious Tower. Oh my god. Leaning Tower of DVDs. Next one is an animated film I had never heard of. And, The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. Now, I did a quick search for this on Letterboxd, and great reviews. So, early 2000s, animated Christmas film. Let's see who's in it. Robbie Benson as young Santa Claus, Dixie Carter, and Hal Halbrook. I know Hal Halbrook, but not the others. So, yeah, don't know shit about it. Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, animated film that's supposed to be pretty good, so... This one is a weird one. I, again, had no idea this existed. It is a late 70s TV movie starring Muhammad Ali and Chris Christopherson. It has to do with slavery. Don't know much else about it. But, man, I had to pick it up because I didn't even know Muhammad Ali acted. So, Freedom Road. Yeah, Freedom Road. All right, we're getting there. Next one, again, a case I need to swap out. This is a David DeCocteau film called Leeches. I'm assuming it's about killer leeches. It has a Scream knockoff cover, and if it has practical leeches sucking people's faces off, that's all I need. It's gonna be shit. It's gonna be pure shit, and I can't wait. This one's cool. Now, it's a shame because the case is all messed up, the artwork's water damaged, but I had to pick it up because I want to see the film. Now, how the fuck do I pronounce this? WX111III. So, W13 Patlabor? This is Patlabor 3, to make it easy. Patlabor, or Patlabor, or Patlabor, however you want to pronounce it, is an old anime. It started out as a TV series. There's OVA and 2 films, Patlabor 1 and 2. And I'm a fan of Patlabor 1 and 2. I have not seen the TV series, so I had to pick up 3. It's a mech police force, essentially, in the future. And that's really all you need to know. You know, giant mechs fighting each other. And policing, more so than fighting each other. But a very cool series. Very, very different in terms of the mecha genre. And Mamoru Oshii, who did Ghost in the Shell most famously, was the director of Patlabor 1 and 2. He did not do this one, but I am looking forward to Patlabor WX13, whatever the f*** it's called, Patlabor 3, that's what it's called in my mind. So, looking forward to it. It is a shame that it's water damaged. Doesn't go for much anyway, so I might have to pick up a nicer looking copy, but it'll do for now. Another one that I need to swap out the case. I do have a stack of cases over there ready to be used. This is Creep, Franca Potente. I'm assuming it's a German horror film of sorts. It has nothing to do with the found footage movies with Mark Duplass. Creep, this is totally its own thing, even though the font kind of resembles it. I know it takes place in an underground subway a subway, and that's all I really know about it. So I like Franca Potente. I love Run Lola Run. She's also in the Bourne movies, the first two. And yeah, Creep. Oh yes, do not adjust your television. The Outer Limits, Volume 2. I have The Outer Limits Volume 1 right there. And so I had to pick up 2, naturally. I know these are coming out on Blu-ray now, but they're expensive as shit. I believe Kino's putting them out. The Outer Limits. Grew up watching the show. Not as much as Twilight Zone, but I do have fond memories of The Outer Limits. Love the show. It's more of a sci-fi take on the Twilight Zone if you guys aren't familiar with it. If you like the Twilight Zone, if you like good television, this is some of the best ever made, especially in genre television. So check it out, The Outer Limits. Next one intrigued me because, it's a Richard Pryor film. I'm a fan of Richard Pryor. Which Way is Up? Now, right on the cover here, I can't feel my right foot. Now, right on the cover here, you see him as multiple different characters, which obviously reminded me of what Eddie Murphy was doing in the mid-90s, late 90s with Nutty Professor, and then Norbit, and yeah, we're not going to talk about that. So, Pryor was doing this, back in the 70s. So, I don't know much about this film, but I can tell he's playing different characters, and I like Pryor, so I'm adding it to the Richard Pryor collection, essentially. So, looking forward to Which Way is Up. Now, I picked this one up for a specific reason. One of the YouTubers I follow, Rambo Raff for Life, I'm sure some of you follow him as well. His name is Matt. He's had a great channel, or has a great channel. He's been doing it for a long time. Really like the dude. His and I, our tastes align pretty well. So I Am Omega. I picked this up because of his recommendation. He likes Mark Dacascos. I like Mark Dacascos. And he claims that he likes this one better than I Am Legend with Will Smith. And I like I Am Legend. I think it's an alright movie. It's, Last Man on Earth and the novel it was based on are much better. Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. But this is an asylum picture, ripping off I Am Legend or, riding on the coattails of, they're mockbusters. So I Am Omega, hey man, as long as it has Dacascos kicking some fucking zombies in the teeth, or vampires, whatever, I'm in. I'm an easy man. Dacascos is in the new John Wick movie, John Wick 3, coming out next month, as of April 1st, and I can't wait. I just went on a tangent. Mark Dacascos, I Am Omega, Blu-ray. Thanks for the recommendation, Matt. Hopefully I enjoy it. Next one is a film that I've yet to see, but I will rectify that soon. Halle Berry in Catwoman. This is a DC film from, I believe, 2004 that completely bombed and is hailed as one of the worst superhero films of all time, and one of the worst films of all time. To be honest, I mean, I've seen it on lists of worst movies of all time, so I have to see it. I've got to see it. I can't wait. Halle Berry is sexy as hell, so just to see her as Catwoman, I think it'll be worth it. And hopefully it's cheesy. Hopefully she's summoning her inner Eartha Kitt and giving us some really bad cat puns. And that's what I'm looking for in this movie. So hopefully it delivers on that front. Don't think I need this one on Blue. I think the DVD will suffice. So Halle Berry, Catwoman. Directed. Gotta love those one-name directors. Directed by Pitoff. You go, Pitoff. Next one is awesome. I just picked this up yesterday at the flea market in Raleigh, and that is Convoy. This is on Blu-ray, but this is a Kino release here, and I picked up the DVD, got it for $1. Chris Christopherson, Ali McGraw looking badass as hell, the two of them. This is a Sam Peckinpah film, and I am a big Sam Peckinpah fan. I'm trying to amass all of his films because he is one of the most important action directors of all time, especially of the 70s. He paved the way for the craziness of the 80s and the slow motion and martial arts, all that. He paved the way, with films like Straw Dogs and Convoy and The Wild Bunch, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, which is one of my favorites. Convoy, really looking forward to this one. Ally McGraw just looks so badass. She's got like a faux fro in this, and I love her. I loved her in The Getaway. So, Steve McQueen. That's another Peckinpah film, by the way. He was such a maestro, man. Peckinpah. Convoy. Cheer. Next one is a film I talked about the Addams Family in a recent What I've Watched episode. And so I picked that up on Blu-ray, and Addams Family Values, unfortunately, is not on Blu-ray, which is such a shame. They should just do a double feature like this on Blu-ray. I don't get it. I picked this up for Addams Family Values because I do want to own that physically on DVD, so that's why I got this. Looking forward to checking that one out soon. Or rewatching that one soon. Alright, I saved my two favorite for last. This one I was ecstatic to see in the wild. I finally found it. I've been contemplating picking up a knockoff, like a Hong Kong knockoff on eBay, and I'm glad I held out because here it is. Warriors of Virtue, starring Angus McFadden. This film, I'm very nostalgic for this movie. I used to have it in one of those big box VHS Disney type cases, and I have very faint memories of it, but images just are burned indelibly into my mind. Some of the martial arts, it's like a martial arts Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles type of film, where a kid's transported back, and then he finds these marsupial, they're essentially like the marsupial versions of the Turtles. I don't know what sort of drugs the filmmakers were doing when they made this film, but all I remember it captured my imagination. The imagery. Ronnie Yu directed this. Now, Ronnie Yu would do, he did prior to this Bride with the White Hair, and then he would go on to do American films, actually, like Bride of Chucky, which I love, and Freddy vs. Jason, which everybody loves. And so this came before that. This, I believe, was his first American film. Ronnie Yu, if nothing else, Ronnie Yu is a visual master. Like, he really has a keen sense of visuals, drawing from John Woo and Chewy Hark and Johnny Toe, people like that. And, I have images of weird marsupial animatronic characters doing martial arts in front of waterfalls, and it was very mystical to me as a child and swept me away to that land. So I can't wait to watch this. It's going to be super nostalgic for me. Hopefully it holds up. I know it'll be at least visually interesting because of Ronnie Yu. And that is Warriors of Virtue. This one's hard to find, guys. This is $25, $30 DVD here. This one happens to be just in immaculate shape with the inner card here. No scratches on the DVD. Man, 1997 this came out, so I was 9 years old. I can't wait to watch Warriors of Virtue again. It's going to be a nostalgic ride. So, Warriors of Virtue. And last, but certainly not least, in fact, most likely most, had to pick this up. Now, I did not find this at a pawn shop or anything like that. I took the plunge and bought this one on Amazon. This is a Scream Factory release, The Body Snatcher. Speaking of Robert Wise, not Ray Wise, Robert Wise, the guy who I showed earlier, The Setup, he also did Star Trek Motion Picture, The Haunting, films like that. He also directed The Body Snatcher. This is a phenomenal black and white horror film from the 40s, starring Boris Karloff and co-starring Bela Lugosi. It's one of my favorites of all time. In fact, I included it in my top 10 horror films as an honorable mention. And it follows Boris Karloff as a gravedigger, body snatcher, who it's the old kind of Burke and Hare sort of a story where he's selling bodies, cadavers to a local scientist for further research and to, it's that kind of a story. Burke and Hare, definitely inspired by Burke and Hare, but better than any Burke and Hare movie that I've seen. That is Body Snatcher. So glad they kept the classic artwork here. Based on a Robert Louis Stevenson novel. Absolutely love The Body Snatcher, guys. If you haven't seen it, you have to. This is Val Lewton produced horror, from the 40s that there weren't many films of this quality in the 40s. Not even Universal was making in the 40s was making films quite as good as The Body Snatcher, in my opinion. Of course, there are some, but, The Body Snatcher just stands out to me as one of the best of the 40s. So, definitely got to check The Body Snatcher out, guys, if you haven't seen it. It's one of my favorites in my top 100 horror films, undoubtedly. Probably my top top 100 films of all time. And I'm so glad that this got a blue. So glad I own it. Very grateful. Can't wait to check it out to see how the transfer is. So that is the Body Snatcher. Alright, so that is everything, guys. Thank you for hanging in there if you have up to this point. I mean, I just went through at least 30 movies here and tried to be as expeditious as possible with it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well as the little bell for notifications. I do movie reviews, which are really the foundation of the channel. I'm experimenting currently with some different kinds of videos, some lists. I've got a really cool one coming up. I also do collection updates, collection overviews, video journals in the form of what I've watched videos, those kind of things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more videos like it. And out of the films I've showed today, I'd love to know which ones you've seen, which ones you recommend, which ones you hate, anything like that. Feel free to leave a comment below, and we'll get a nice discussion going, which is always fun. So anyways, guys, I will see you next time. Bored Cyborg, out.
Peace!